What's up, everybody? Welcome to Talk Wrestling here on the NoDQ YouTube channel as well as NoDQ.com. Thank you all for watching this week. We appreciate the support as we do each and every week from you guys. Let's get right into your questions. First one comes from Facebook today. It's from Greg Cherry, our old friend. In your opinion, who was the biggest name to jump from WWE to TNA? And who was the biggest name to jump from TNA to WWE? I think time has proven that the biggest jump from WWE to TNA has been Kurt Angle. Kurt has been the standard bearer for TNA the last, my goodness, 10 years next year, since jumping in 2006. So it's almost 10 years now. And he's multi-time world champion, multi-time, he's been tag team champion, he's held every championship there is to hold in that company, I believe, except for the television title, the global title, the whatever you want to call that title today, the King of the Mountain title. There you go. So Kurt's definitely the biggest jump from WWE to TNA. As far as TNA WWE, I think time will tell on that, only because we've got two guys that are in the WWE family. Well, one's kind of the WWE family right now. Those being Samoa Joe and kind of sort of James Storm. Samoa Joe is really starting to come into his own NXT. He's challenging for the championship soon. He might be the champion by the time we get to London, if not at London. And James Storm made a huge impact, no pun intended, although I did just do the quotes, so maybe I did, by making his appearance in NXT. So I think one of those two guys will be the biggest name to jump from TNA into the WWE family. Right now, it's definitely Samoa Joe. He's making the biggest mark in the company as far as from one to the other. This is from Mr. Yuck on Twitter. Do you think Rollins will return as a heel or a face? I kind of mentioned this on Coast to Coast with Greg recently, and I gotta believe that he's going to return as a mega babyface, a la Triple H 2002, a la Triple H anytime he came back from an injury, or Austin when he came back from he's a babyface anyway, but anytime a major superstar goes down with a serious injury, whether they're a good guy or a bad guy, and they come back from a long layoff like Seth Rollins is facing now, up to 6 and 9 months, as we mentioned previously, he's going to come back with the crowd behind him. So I think he's going to get that initial huge babyface pop. Whether he embraces it or shies away from it is what will be the telling time as far as what he will be going forward from that moment. This is from Beastslayer at I Say Whatever 666 on Twitter. What do you think of Ryback's claims on Steve Austin's podcast that he could replace John Cena? Oh, Skippy. You know, I don't understand where Ryback would even remotely think that he, with all his star power and all his infinite being over with the fans, nowhere near the degree of a John Cena or a Seth Rollins or a Randy Orton or an Undertaker or anybody else, could claim that he could replace John Cena at a given time. Can he fill in for John as a temporary replacement on a card or a few cards while John's taking his time off? Yes. And if that's what he meant, then that's fine. But if he meant that he replaced John Cena overall in terms of the star power, in terms of the drawing power that John Cena brings to WWE, then Ryback, as usual, is out of his freaking mind. This is from Colin Nicholson on Twitter. Undertaker has wrestled WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell in Mexico, and now will be at Survivor Series this Sunday. How come he's worked more than his annual WrestleMania match this year? I think it's because it's the anniversary, number one. This is his 25th go-round of years with WWE. You know, Sunday marks the anniversary to the day of his debut with WWE back at the 1990 Survivor Series. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is that I believe this may be his last tour of duty, if you will, much like a soldier. And I think that he realizes that, and I think that he wanted to get in as much time and give as much back to the people that have supported him all these years as he possibly could before he finally does hang it up. So we'll see what happens at WrestleMania next year in Dallas, whether he hangs it up for good or whether he has another year or whatever he does. But I think that the main reason is that this is his 20th anniversary at Survivor Series this Sunday, and he wanted to be more involved with the storyline, the direction of the company, as far as have more fans see more of him than they had in previous years with his once a year appearances. This is from Kaylin James on Twitter. When do you think Sheamus will cash in? How would you book it? That seems to be the question every time a championship scenario comes up on social media, doesn't it? Whether Sheamus will cash in his big gold briefcase and whether he will cash in on Seth Rollins and he was champion, on whoever wins the championship this Sunday. Will he cash in Sunday? It's funny that you mentioned that, and I think I'll talk more about what I think is going to happen at Survivor Series with Aaron on our predictions show. But I think that Sheamus will cash in and fail. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Sheamus will cash in and fail unless it happens against somebody that WWE just wants to kind of tease that he's being champion, and then they throw Sheamus in as and make him the world champion for an interim amount of time. Now with Rollins, that maybe Sheamus will be the top heel champion. It's very hard to say, but I think that Sheamus will be one of. If it was me booking it, I would not have him win the championship. That was me, but will he do it? Time will tell. This is from Harry Flynn at DeHarris here on Twitter. Would you like to see Kurt Angle versus Alberto Del Rio in a U.S. versus Mex-America feud? Yes, I would, actually. And I don't agree with fantasy bookings very often, but I would love to see Kurt Angle be the guy to come back and get up in Zeb and Alberto's face about the status of America in this world and be like, you know what, I'm an Olympic gold medalist, damn it, and I'm an American hero. I'm a true American hero, not like this Mex-America crap that Alberto and Zeb, you guys are pushing. I would love to see Kurt Angle make one more run with WWE and start out that run by becoming the new United States champion. Whether he will, I don't know, only because he seems resigned to taking this time off after his contract expires in January, I think it is. And for me, Kurt Angle is not a young man anymore. He's not a healthy man a lot of the time anymore. So if he was going to be in WWE, he would need to be at peak physical shape. And WWE has made that very clear to him, I think, by not offering him a contract more than once now. So will he do it? Probably not. Would I like to see it? Absolutely. I'd love to see that. This is from, AJ Wheels at Ken Adamski on Twitter. Where do you rate Chris Jericho in the best of all time? Entertainment-wise, technical wrestling, underrated? I think Jericho was underrated for a long time. He wasn't given near the due that he should have been. I think even his run as the first undisputed WWF champion was played very low key by Mr. McMahon, among other people, as mentioned in Chris's book. But I think with his with his big old bad guy turn in 2008, I believe that was, against Shawn Michaels, and he started wearing the Nick Bockwinkel suits and had the Nick Bockwinkel dialogue, and really just started putting himself out there as the guy that you absolutely hated and loved doing it in the process. You loved to hate Chris Jericho then. That Chris Jericho really was not underrated. He was rated right where he should be. He is one of the best technical wrestlers I've ever seen. He learned from the best, from the Hart family. You can't argue with success and training in this business. And the Hart Dungeon was one of those places where you went to learn and you suffered in learning. And even at the Hart camp where he trained, not in the dungeon, you still went through the bare knuckles, the process of learning to be a professional wrestler, not necessarily a sports entertainer like WWE proclaims now. And entertainment-wise, my goodness, he's a rock star, he's an actor, he's a wrestler, he's a sports entertainer, he's all these things. Jericho is just so unbelievably good at so many different things, and it all stems back to him getting a degree in communications in college, and then taking that and applying it to his wrestling persona and his wrestling education and combining the two to make the all-around wrestler, the all-around sports entertainer. That's what Chris Jericho is. Chris Jericho is arguably the greatest combined force of wrestler and sports entertainer that there's ever been. Yes, you have your Hulk Hogan's and your Ric Flairs and your Shawn Michaels and your Undertakers, but Chris Jericho is, in my opinion, the most well-rounded wrestling personality that I've ever seen. And I got to meet him a few years ago at his book signing, and he's still this humble, kid from Winnipeg who, realizes that he had to work he had to bust his ass to get where he is, but he's still working hard every day to be the hardest working man in entertainment right now. That's what Chris Jericho is. He's always working to be better, and that's what makes him awesome. Thank you all for watching this week on Talk Wrestling. We will see you guys more next week.